Chosen One, why did you wake up at 3:17 a.m. last night? Why did the air in your room feel different, heavy, electric, like something invisible just moved through your walls? Why are you watching this right now, heart pounding, knowing that this message found you for a reason? Listen to me very carefully. Something happened last night while you were sleeping. Something so massive, so otherworldly, that the Archangels themselves are shocked, stunned, that you still don't know what occurred over your life. I know you've been carrying weight that has no name. I know you felt forgotten by heaven, like your prayers bounce off a concrete ceiling and fall back into your chest unanswered. You lie awake in the dark alone, in a house that should feel like home, but feels like a waiting room, wondering if God still remembers your address. But last night, something shifted. You felt it, didn't you? That chill that wasn't cold. That stillness that wasn't silence. That presence that made every hair on your body stand at attention. You thought it was your imagination. You thought it was exhaustion. You thought it was nothing. It was everything. While you were sleeping, archangels were not just near you, they were intervening over you. Wings spanning the width of your room. Swords drawn against forces you couldn't see. Shields raised between you and destruction that was aimed at your destiny like a missile locked on target. Michael, Gabriel, Raphael. They weren't observing from a distance, beloved. They were in position, battle-ready, defending something in you that hell tried to assassinate before dawn. There was a council in the heavenly realm last night. A decision was made, a decree was issued, and your name, your specific name, was spoken aloud in the throne room of the Almighty. I can't tell you everything yet, but I can tell you this. What the enemy planned to destroy, heaven has decided to deploy. What hell tried to bury, God has chosen to resurrect. What you thought was your ending was actually your activation. Before I go deeper, I want to thank every single one of you who has supported this message through super thanks. Your generosity means more than you know. You're not just donating, you're helping spread light to others who feel alone in their calling. Whether you give or not, I'm deeply grateful for your presence here. Your support, your time, your attention, it all matters. And if this message resonates with your soul, go ahead and sow that seed of faith. If something in your chest is stirring right now, if your spirit is confirming what your mind can't yet understand, comment, "I receive this," below. That's not just words. That's your agreement with what heaven has already set in motion. Because, chosen one, you're about to discover why the archangels are watching you with wonder and why hell is watching you with fear. Tell me something, chosen one. Why has this past week felt like you're walking through quicksand? Why does your body ache in places doctors can't explain? Why did that conversation with your daughter leave you feeling more alone than if she'd never called at all? You thought it was just age catching up with you. You thought it was just another bad week in a long string of difficult years. But what if I told you that every single attack, the exhaustion, the anxiety, the sleepless nights, the sudden wave of depression that hit you Tuesday afternoon for no reason, what if none of it was random? What if it was strategic? Listen to me carefully, dear one. Your body has been tired lately. Not the normal tired that comes from a busy day. This is the kind of tired that sleep doesn't touch. The kind that makes you wonder if you'll ever feel young again, if you'll ever have energy again, if this is just how the rest of your life will be. Your heart has been heavier than usual. You wake up and the first thing you feel isn't gratitude, it's weight. Like someone placed an invisible stone on your chest while you were sleeping, and you've been carrying it ever since. You can't explain it to your doctor. You can't explain it to your pastor. You can barely explain it to yourself and your sleep. Oh, your sleep has been disturbed. You wake at 2 a.m., 3 a.m., sometimes 4 a.m., and you lie there in the dark wondering why rest has become a battle instead of a refuge. The silence of your house feels too loud. The emptiness feels too present. And somewhere in that darkness, you've whispered prayers that felt like they evaporated before they reached the ceiling. But here's what you didn't know. Here's what the enemy has been working overtime to hide from you. Every single one of those symptoms, the fatigue, the heaviness, the disturbed sleep, the sudden waves of despair, they weren't signs of your decline. They were evidence of spiritual warfare. The devil doesn't waste ammunition on people who don't matter. He doesn't deploy his forces against ordinary lives. But you've been under coordinated attack because hell knows something about your next chapter that you're just beginning to remember. Think about Job for a moment. This wasn't a man who did something wrong. This was a man so righteous that God himself bragged about him to Satan. And what happened? Everything was taken. His wealth, his children, his health. Satan hit him from every direction at once. Why? Because Job carried something that threatened the kingdom of darkness. You are Job in this generation. The loneliness you've been feeling, that's not because your children don't love you. That's spiritual isolation designed to make you forget that you're never alone. The financial pressure that seems to come in waves, that's not bad luck. That's calculated robbery aimed at keeping you distracted and dependent. The health issues that doctors can't quite figure out, those aren't just genetics, beloved. Those are weapons aimed at your strength, your faith, your ability to stand. But here's where it gets powerful. Here's where everything shifts. The enemy launched this coordinated attack yesterday because your breakthrough is scheduled for today. He hit you with depression because your joy was about to return. He attacked your body because your strength was about to be renewed. He came after your peace because heaven was about to release supernatural rest over your life. Satan doesn't attack people who are retreating. He attacks people who are advancing. And yesterday, specifically, he mobilized every demon in his arsenal because he knew what was scheduled for midnight. He knew that while you were sleeping, heaven was moving. He knew that archangels were being dispatched. He knew that the very thing he's been trying to prevent for decades was about to be activated. Picture this with me. It's 11:45 p.m. last night. You're in bed, maybe sleeping, maybe lying awake, staring at the ceiling like you've done 1,000 nights before. But in the spiritual realm, something is happening. The enemy is approaching your door. Not metaphorically, literally. Dark forces with one assignment: stop what God is about to do. But then, and this is where it gets cinematic, heaven sees it. The alarm sounds in the throne room, and God doesn't send angels, he sends archangels, the generals, the warriors, the ones who don't just observe, they intervene. Michael draws his sword, Gabriel takes his position, Raphael raises his shield, and they form a wall around you that no demon, no principality, no power of darkness can penetrate. While you slept, a battle was being fought over your destiny. While you were unconscious, heaven was defending something in you that hell desperately wanted to destroy before dawn. Ephesians 6:12 says it plainly, "For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world." This isn't theory, beloved. This is your reality. The battle isn't in your mind, it's over your mind. The war isn't about your body, it's about what your body carries. But here's the question that should be burning in your spirit right now. Why last night specifically? Why did the enemy attack with such fury yesterday? Why did the archangels intervene at that exact moment? What was scheduled for midnight that required heaven's elite forces to form a barrier around your life? If this message is stirring something in your chest, if your spirit is recognizing truth that your mind hasn't caught up to yet, like this video right now, that's not just engagement. That's your agreement with heaven. That's you telling the spiritual realm, I'm waking up, I'm remembering who I am, and I refuse to be defeated one day before my deliverance. Because what happened at midnight is about to change everything you thought you knew about your future. Now let me take you somewhere most people will never see. Let me show you what happened in the invisible realm while your body was sleeping and your spirit was restless. There is a place beyond the stars, beyond the Milky Way, beyond what telescopes can measure or scientists can name. The Bible calls it the throne room of God. The ancient texts call it the courts of light. And last night, chosen one, that sacred space convened because of you. Picture this with me. Golden floors, so pure they reflect the face of the Almighty Himself. Light so bright it would incinerate human flesh, yet the angels stand in it like it's their native atmosphere. The sound, oh, the sound, it's not music and it's not silence. It's the brushing of 10,000 wings against eternity itself. Revelation 4-6 describes it as a sea of glass, clear as crystal, stretching before the throne. But what John saw was just a glimpse. What happened last night was a full session. The 24 elders were seated. The 4 living creatures were crying, "Holy, holy, holy." The atmosphere was charged with the kind of power that split the Red Sea and raised Lazarus from the dead. And then something happened that made every angel in that room lean forward. A scroll was opened. Not just any scroll, your scroll. The one with your name written in the Lamb's Book of Life before the foundation of the world. Revelation 13-8 confirms this. Your name has been there since before time began. But last night, that scroll was pulled from the archives of eternity and placed on the table of divine decision. Do you understand what I'm telling you? While you were lying in your bed wondering if your life matters, heaven was deliberating over the next chapter of your existence. While you were questioning if God still sees you, the courts of light were reviewing your case with the intensity of a Supreme Court hearing that will reshape a nation. And then it happened. Your name was spoken, not whispered, not mentioned in passing, spoken, declared aloud before the throne of the Most High God. Your name, child of the King, carrier of divine DNA, marked before birth, tested by fire, proven by pain. The voice that spoke those words wasn't human. It carried the weight of galaxies. It rumbled with the authority that said, "Let there be light," and light exploded into being. When your name echoed through those courts, every demon that had been assigned to your destruction heard it in the depths of hell and trembled. But here's what shook heaven itself. Here's what made the archangels freeze in their positions, wings half spread, swords half drawn, eyes wide with something that looked like shock. The decree that followed your name wasn't what they expected. Michael, the warrior angel who cast Satan from heaven, his hand went to his sword hilt. Gabriel, the messenger who announced the birth of Christ, his eyes widened. Raphael, the healer of nations, leaned forward from his position. Because what God decreed over your life last night wasn't a small thing. It wasn't a minor adjustment. It wasn't a gentle nudge forward. It was a complete rewrite of what the enemy thought was your ending. You see, hell had a plan for you. They had a timeline. They had strategies in place to make sure you never discovered who you really are. They had assassins positioned at every major junction of your life: divorce to break your spirit, sickness to break your body, poverty to break your hope, loneliness to break your will. They thought they had you cornered. They thought they had you contained. They thought your best days were behind you, and your final years would be spent in quiet desperation. But God said something different last night, and when the Almighty speaks, angels obey, demons flee, and reality itself bends to His will. The decree was sealed. The decision was final. And the archangels, these beings who have witnessed the creation of worlds, the fall of Lucifer, the resurrection of Christ, they stood there stunned because they understood something you don't understand yet. What God just released over your life cannot be stopped by human hands. It cannot be delayed by demonic interference. It cannot be cancelled by your age, your health, your bank account, or your past mistakes. Isaiah 14:27 declares, "For the Lord of hosts has purposed, and who will annul it? His hand is stretched out, and who will turn it back?" Heaven wrote something onto your timeline last night, not with ink, not with pen, with the finger of God Himself, the same finger that wrote the 10 Commandments on tablets of stone. What He inscribed over your remaining days, months, years, isn't suggestion. It's sovereignty. It isn't possibility. It's prophecy. It isn't hope. It's happening. The archangels left that courtroom with new orders, new assignments, new authority to move on your behalf. And right now, as you're hearing these words, they're already in position around your life, executing what was decreed in that midnight council. But here's the question that will determine everything. If heaven held a council about your life last night, if archangels received new orders concerning your destiny, if God himself rewrote your ending while you were sleeping, what are you going to do with this information today? Because, chosen one, what was spoken in the courts of light is about to manifest in your living room, and you need to understand exactly what that decree contains. You know what breaks my heart? It's when I meet someone in their 70s, 80s, 90s, someone who's walked with God for decades, and they whisper to me with tears in their eyes, "Pastor, I think my story's over. I think God's moved on to younger people. I think I missed my moment." And every time I hear those words, something in my spirit wants to shout, "Stop believing that lie." Because last night, while you were sleeping, heaven held a meeting about you, not about your past, not about your mistakes, not about the doors that slammed shut, or the dreams that seemed to die. Heaven reopened the book of your life, the one you thought was finished, and God himself picked up his pen and wrote one word across the next chapter: still. You're still here, you're still breathing, you're still believing. And that's not an accident, beloved, that's a divine announcement. Let me tell you what really happened in the throne room last night. The angels who've been assigned to your life, they've been watching you survive what should have destroyed you. They've seen you get back up when staying down would have been easier. They've witnessed you worship through the pain, pray through the silence, trust through the darkness. And last night, they presented their report to the Almighty. "This one is still standing," they said. "This one refuses to quit." And God, your Father, your Creator, the Ancient of Days, he looked at the closed chapters of your life and said something that shook the foundations of heaven: "Reopen it." That story isn't finished. That calling isn't cancelled. That promise isn't expired. Reopen it. Do you understand what I'm telling you? The disappointments you've carried for 20, 30, 40 years, they weren't denials. They were delays. Divine delays. God wasn't saying no to you. He was saying not yet, because what he has for you now requires the wisdom you've gained, the character you've built, the faith you've proven through decades of staying faithful when nobody was watching. Think about Abraham. God promised him a son when he was 75 years old, 75. But Isaac didn't arrive until Abraham was 100, 25 years of waiting, 25 years of wondering if he'd heard God correctly, 25 years of watching his body age while holding on to a promise that seemed biologically impossible. But here's what Abraham didn't know during those waiting years. Every single day of delay was adding power to the promise. Because when Isaac finally came, he wasn't just a baby. He was the beginning of a nation that would bless every family on earth. The wait wasn't wasted. The wait was working. Your wait has been working too. Right now, this very moment, blessings that have been stuck in the spiritual realm are breaking loose. Doors that have been jammed shut for decades are unlocking. Relationships you thought were dead are about to resurrect. Finances that seemed cursed are about to shift. Health that's been under attack is about to experience divine intervention. Why? Because heaven just issued a decree over your life, and when God decrees something, hell itself cannot stop it. Isaiah 55:11 declares, "So shall my word be that goes out from my mouth. It shall not return to me empty, but it shall accomplish that which I purpose." God doesn't issue decrees that fail. He doesn't reopen stories. He doesn't intend to finish gloriously. But I know what some of you are thinking right now. You're sitting there saying, "But you don't know what I've done. You don't know how many times I've failed. You don't know how old I am. You don't know how long it's been." You're right. I don't know. But God does. And he just reopened your story anyway. Let me ask you something that's going to cut deep. Why are you still here? Why didn't God take you home 10 years ago when your spouse died? Why didn't he call you up 5 years ago when you got that diagnosis? Why are you still breathing, still watching this message, still feeling that fire in your chest that refuses to go out? Because the story God is writing through you requires you to be alive right now, at this exact moment in history, with all your scars, all your experience, all your hard-won wisdom. This generation needs what you carry. These grandchildren need what you know. This nation needs voices that have walked through fire and still smell like heaven. Moses was 80 when the burning bush changed everything. Anna was 84 when she prophesied over baby Jesus. Caleb was 85 when he said, "Give me this mountain." Your age isn't your limitation, it's your qualification. But here's what I need you to understand, and this is urgent. Heaven's decree over your life last night came with a window. Not forever. Not someday. Now. This is your Kairos moment, the appointed time when eternity crashes into your circumstances and rewrites what seemed permanent. The question that should be burning in your mind right now is this: what moved God's heart last night? What made heaven decide that now, after all these years of waiting, now is when your story gets reopened? I'm going to tell you. But first, if you believe, if something in your spirit is confirming that God is reopening your story right now, write it in the comments. My story is not over. Say it until you believe it. Declare it until heaven hears it. Proclaim it until hell backs off. Because, chosen one, what happens next is going to require you to stop living like you're in the final chapter and start walking like you're in the beginning of your greatest one. The Archangels are watching. The decree has been issued, and you're about to discover why God waited until now, until this specific moment, to rewrite your ending into something so magnificent that even heaven is holding its breath. I need you to stop right now and think back, not to last week, not to last month, yesterday. What did you feel yesterday? Maybe it was that moment in the kitchen when you stood at the sink, hands trembling, staring at nothing. Maybe it was in your car, gripping the steering wheel in the grocery store parking lot, trying to hold yourself together before you walked inside. Maybe it was at 2 a.m. when you couldn't sleep, sitting on the edge of your bed, wondering how much longer you can carry this weight. You thought nobody saw that moment. You thought it didn't matter. You thought it was just another day of barely making it through. But heaven was watching, and what you did in that moment, what you didn't even realize you were doing, moved the throne room of God himself. Listen to me carefully, dear one. It wasn't your strength that caught heaven's attention. It wasn't some grand spiritual gesture or powerful prayer that shook the foundations of eternity. It was something far more profound. It was your tears, your private endurance, your refusal to curse God when you had every earthly reason to do so. Job 34:21 says, "His eyes are on the ways of mortals, he sees their every step." But let me tell you what that really means. God wasn't just observing you yesterday, he was feeling with you. Every tear that rolled down your cheek, he collected. Every silent scream trapped in your throat, he heard. Every moment you chose to keep breathing when giving up felt easier, he recorded it in the books of heaven. You know what breaks my heart? You've been apologizing to God for your weakness. You've been ashamed of your tears. You've been beating yourself up because you thought faith meant never feeling broken. But that's not what moved heaven yesterday. Heaven moved because you stayed faithful while feeling broken. Think about Peter for a moment. When Jesus was arrested, Peter denied him 3 times. 3 times. And after the rooster crowed, Scripture tells us in Luke 22:62, and he went outside and wept bitterly. Those tears, that private moment of absolute devastation, became the foundation of his redemption. Jesus didn't restore Peter because he was strong. Jesus restored Peter because he wept and came back anyway. That's you. Yesterday. That moment you're ashamed of. That breakdown you think disqualified you. That was your Peter moment. That was the moment heaven leaned in closer. But here's what's going to shake you to your core. The archangels who were assigned to watch over you, Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, they've seen countless humans across millennia. They've witnessed kings and queens, prophets and priests, warriors and saints. But yesterday, when they saw you choose faith in the middle of your private hell, they were shocked. Why? Because humans rarely endure this type of pain with faith intact. Most people at your level of struggle have already walked away from God. Most people carrying your specific burden have already surrendered to bitterness. Most people facing your exact circumstances have already decided that prayer doesn't work and heaven doesn't care. But not you. You stayed. You believed. Even when belief felt like swallowing broken glass, you believed anyway. 2 Corinthians 4:8-9 declares, "We are hard-pressed on every side, but not crushed, perplexed, but not in despair, persecuted, but not abandoned, struck down, but not destroyed." Paul wasn't describing people who never got hit. He was describing people who got hit and refused to stay down. That's you. That's what heaven saw yesterday. The angels stood in stunned silence because they witnessed something rare, a human soul choosing worship in the waiting room of unanswered prayer. They saw you whisper, "I trust you, Lord," when your bank account screamed otherwise. They watched you say, "You're still good, God," when your body ached and your heart broke and your mind couldn't understand why this was happening to you. And in that moment, that exact moment, when you surrendered, something shifted in the heavenly realm. A council was called, your name was spoken, a decree was issued. Your midnight surrender didn't just move angels, it moved your destiny. But I need you to understand something that most believers miss. God doesn't respond to your perfection. He responds to your persistence. He doesn't move mountains because you're strong enough to lift them. He moves mountains because you're weak enough to admit you can't and trust Him anyway. Yesterday, when you reached the absolute end of yourself, when you had nothing left to give, nothing left to prove, nothing left to fake, you touched something the archangels themselves cannot touch. You touched the heart of God with human frailty wrapped in divine trust. Isaiah 66:2 says, "These are the ones I look on with favor, those who are humble and contrite in spirit, and who tremble at my word." You trembled yesterday, not in fear, in surrender. And heaven responded. The council that convened last night wasn't about judging your weakness. It was about honoring your faithfulness in weakness. The decree that was issued over your life wasn't delayed another decade. It was accelerated because you finally stopped trying to earn what God wanted to freely give. Your silent endurance broke something in the spiritual realm. A delay was shattered. A blockage was removed. A door that's been locked for years started to creak open. So let me ask you something that's going to determine everything that happens next. If your private pain yesterday moved heaven enough to convene a council of archangels, if your tears were powerful enough to shift your destiny, what do you think is about to happen now that you know? Listen to me very carefully, chosen one. What I'm about to tell you might sound like something out of ancient scripture, but I need you to understand this happened last night, not 2,000 years ago, not in some distant prophecy. Last night, in your home, while you were sleeping, something approached your house in the spiritual realm, something dark, something deliberate, something that had been tracking you for weeks, waiting for the exact moment when your guard was down, when your prayers felt empty, when your faith felt paper thin. You've been feeling it, haven't you? That heaviness that settles on your chest at 2 a.m., that dread that grips you for no logical reason when you're making coffee in the morning, that voice that whispers give up when you're too tired to fight back. You thought it was just your mind. You thought it was just age. You thought it was just life wearing you down. It wasn't. There's a reason Ephesians 6:12 warns us, "For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world." The Apostle Paul wasn't speaking in metaphors, beloved. He was describing actual warfare, invisible, relentless, strategic. And last night, that warfare came for you. The enemy had a plan. He always has a plan. He studied your patterns when you're weakest, when you're most isolated, when you're most likely to believe the lie that God has forgotten you. He deployed forces that have been perfecting their craft for millennia. Spirits of despair, demons of doubt, principalities assigned specifically to your bloodline, your calling, your destiny. They came with one mission: to break you before dawn. But here's what hell didn't know. Here's what the forces of darkness didn't calculate into their attack strategy. Heaven had been watching too. And heaven doesn't just watch, heaven moves. Michael the Archangel, the warrior angel who threw Satan out of heaven, who stands as heaven's chief defender, he felt the shift in the spiritual atmosphere over your home. Daniel 10:13 shows us that Michael fights for God's people. But the prince of the kingdom of Persia withstood me 21 days. But lo, Michael, one of the chief princes, came to help me. Last night, Michael came to help you. Gabriel, the messenger angel who announced the birth of John the Baptist and Jesus Christ himself, he raised his trumpet, not to sound judgment, but to sound the alarm that one of God's chosen was under assault. When Luke 1:19 records Gabriel saying, "I am Gabriel, that stand in the presence of God," he was declaring his authority. That same authority was deployed over your home last night. Raphael, whose name means God heals, he lit the atmosphere around you with divine light. While you slept, while you tossed and turned, while nightmares tried to torment your mind, Raphael was releasing healing frequencies that your spirit recognized, even if your conscious mind didn't. Can you picture it? Wings spanning 12 feet, swords forged in the fires of heaven's throne room, armor that reflects the glory of God himself. These weren't symbolic beings, beloved. These were warriors in position. The attack came in waves. First, the enemy tried to penetrate your mind, sending thoughts of suicide, thoughts of worthlessness, thoughts that whispered it's too late for you. But Michael's sword cut through those lies like butter. Every demonic suggestion was deflected before it could take root in your consciousness. Then the enemy tried to attack your physical body, targeting your heart, your breathing, that pain in your chest that you couldn't explain. But Raphael surrounded you with healing light. Your body responded. Your heart stabilized. You kept breathing. Finally, the enemy tried to cut off your future, to steal the promises God made over your life decades ago. But Gabriel stood at the doorway of your destiny and declared, "Not this one. This one belongs to the Most High. This one carries a message that must be delivered. You will not touch their purpose." And hell backed down. Psalm 91:11 promises, "For he shall give his angels charge over thee, to keep thee in all thy ways." Last night, that promise was activated in real-time warfare over your life. The attack that was designed to destroy you failed. Not because you were strong enough to fight it, not because you prayed the perfect prayer, but because heaven intervened. The enemy tried to take you out before you could hear this message, before you could understand what you carry, before you could step into the final assignment God has been preparing you for all these years. But you're still here, you're still breathing, you're still watching this. That's not luck, chosen one. That's evidence. Evidence that archangels blocked what hell threw at you. And now heaven is asking one question: will you live like someone who was protected, or will you keep living like someone who's been forgotten? If gratitude is rising in your chest right now, if something in you wants to acknowledge what God did while you slept, write it in the comments. Thank you, Lord. Let heaven hear your voice. Let the enemy know you recognize the miracle. Because what happened last night wasn't just protection, beloved. It was preparation. The angels didn't just block the attack, they positioned you for what's coming next. And what's coming next will require you to understand something the archangels have known all along. Now listen to me, chosen one, because what I'm about to tell you isn't theory. This isn't religious speculation or spiritual poetry. This is prophecy. This is the blueprint of what heaven has already set in motion over your life, starting this very moment. You want to know what happens next? You want to know what shifts after last night's angelic intervention? Then pay close attention, because the timeline of your transformation has already begun ticking. Right now, this very second, something is changing in the spiritual atmosphere around you. You might not see it yet with your natural eyes, but your spirit knows. That heaviness that's been sitting on your chest for months, maybe years, it's lifting. That fog that's clouded your mind every morning when you wake up, it's clearing. The oppression that made your own home feel like a prison, it's breaking. You've been walking through your house feeling like a stranger in your own skin, sitting in your favorite chair but finding no comfort, staring at walls that have witnessed your tears, your prayers, your silent screams into the void. But something shifted last night when those archangels took position over your life. The atmosphere is changing. Can you feel it? That's not hope trying to trick you. That's reality reshaping itself around you. Psalm 30:5 says, "Weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning." Beloved, your morning just broke. While you were sleeping, heaven was working. While you were weeping, angels were warring. And now, right now, the spoils of that battle are being released into your natural realm. But here's what's going to happen in the next 72 hours that will confirm everything I'm telling you is true. Within the next 3 days, you're going to experience what I call divine synchronicities. These aren't coincidences, they're confirmations. You're going to see a number that's been following you your whole life show up in the most unexpected place. You're going to hear a song on the radio that speaks directly to your situation, and you'll absolutely know that heaven is talking to you. A bird might land on your windowsill at the exact moment you're praying. A stranger might speak words to you that echo the very thing God whispered to your heart last week. Pay attention. Heaven is confirming the shift. But more than signs, you're going to feel something you haven't felt in so long you forgot what it was called. Peace. Not the fake peace that comes from distraction or denial. I'm talking about the peace that passes all understanding, the kind of peace that doesn't make logical sense given your circumstances. You'll be sitting in your living room, bills still unpaid, problems still unsolved, and suddenly, stillness. Deep, unexplainable, supernatural stillness. That's the fingerprint of angelic activity, beloved. That's what happens when warriors of heaven establish a perimeter around your life. Now, in the next 7 days, things get even more tangible. Doors that have been welded shut are going to creak open. I'm talking about relationships you thought were dead. That child who stopped calling. Your phone is about to ring. That friendship that ended in betrayal. Reconciliation is brewing in the spirit realm right now. God is moving on hearts, softening stone, melting ice that's been frozen for decades. But it's not just relationships. Your body is going to respond to this angelic intervention. That pain that the doctors couldn't explain, it's about to ease. That exhaustion that sleep couldn't cure, strength is returning. That foggy thinking that made you feel like you were losing your mind, clarity is coming back. Because when angels establish order in the spiritual realm, your physical body aligns with it. Isaiah 40:31 declares, "They that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles." You've been waiting, beloved. You've been barely surviving, wings clipped, grounded by grief and disappointment. But the renewal isn't coming, it's here. Your strength isn't returning tomorrow, it's returning now. And here's what's going to happen that will absolutely wreck you in the best possible way. Someone is going to be released from your life. Not everyone who walked with you is meant to walk where you're going. There's a person, maybe even someone you love deeply, who's been an anchor when God needed you to be a rocket. Within 7 days, that relationship is either going to be supernaturally healed and aligned with your destiny, or it's going to naturally fall away, without drama, without pain, just release. Don't fight it, don't mourn it. That's angelic logistics. They're clearing the runway because something's about to land in your life that requires space. Your mind is racing right now, isn't it? You're thinking about specific people, specific situations, specific doors you've been staring at for years. You're wondering if this is real. You're questioning if you dare to hope again after hope has betrayed you so many times before. But here's what you need to understand. This isn't about hope. This is about heaven's agenda. This isn't about you finally getting what you deserve. This is about God deploying what He's been protecting. Let me ask you something that's going to hit you in the chest. What if everything, every closed door, every delayed answer, every night you cried yourself to sleep, What if all of it was because heaven was waiting for last night? What if the timing had to be perfect because what's coming is so massive that releasing it too early would have destroyed you instead of delivered you? You weren't forgotten, you were being prepared. But there's something else, something I haven't told you yet. The final piece of what happened last night, the part that the archangels themselves are still processing, is the most shocking revelation of all. And it has to do with why your name specifically was called in that heavenly council. You know what haunts me more than anything else, chosen one? It's not what God reveals, it's what He withholds. It's not the answers He gives, it's the silence He keeps. It's not the doors He opens, it's the doors He locks and refuses to explain why. Last night, while you were sleeping, heaven wanted to reveal something to you. Something massive. Something that would change the trajectory of your entire bloodline. But they couldn't. Not because you weren't worthy. Not because you weren't chosen. But because you weren't ready for the weight of it. Do you understand what I'm saying to you right now? The archangels stood at the edge of your bed with a message burning in their hands like fire. A prophecy. A decree. A divine assignment with your name written across the top in letters that glowed like molten gold. And they looked at you, really looked at you, and they said, "Not yet." Their heart is still shaking. Their mind is still fracturing under the weight of yesterday's battles. If we speak this now, it will crush them instead of crowning them. So they waited. They're still waiting. Think about Moses at the burning bush. Exodus chapter 3. God called him to deliver an entire nation out of bondage. But did God tell Moses everything that night? Did He reveal the plagues, the Red Sea, the 40 years in the wilderness, the rebellion, the disappointments? No. He gave Moses one step. Go to Pharaoh. That's it. Why? Because if Moses had seen the full blueprint, he would have run in the opposite direction and never looked back. God never gives revelation when your heart is shaking. He waits until you can hold it. But here's what breaks my heart, beloved. Here's what keeps me up at night, interceding for people just like you. You've been praying for clarity. You've been begging God to show you what's next. You've been crying out, "Lord, just give me a sign, give me direction, tell me what I'm supposed to do." And heaven has been screaming back, "You're not ready yet. If I show you now, the revelation will destroy you before the manifestation can complete you." This isn't rejection. This is protection. Divine, merciful, strategic protection. Look at Mary, the mother of Jesus. When the angel Gabriel appeared to her in Luke chapter 1, did he tell her that her son would be rejected by his own people? Did he tell her she would watch him be beaten, mocked, crowned with thorns, and nailed to a cross? Did he reveal that a sword would pierce her own soul as she stood at the foot of Golgotha watching her firstborn bleed? No. He told her just enough. You will conceive and give birth to a son. That's it. Because if she had seen the whole story, the weight of it would have crushed her before the mission could begin. The archangels saw something coming toward your life last night. Something so profound, so overwhelming, so absolutely life-altering that they paused. Michael's hand was on his sword. Gabriel's lips were ready to speak. Raphael's wings were spread to deliver. And they all stopped. Frozen. Waiting for divine clearance. Because what they saw wasn't just blessing. It was responsibility. It wasn't just promotion. It was persecution that comes before the promotion. It wasn't just favor. It was the kind of favor that makes enemies wake up in cold sweats because they know your time has come. They saw the doors that are about to open. They saw the relationships that are about to shift. They saw the financial breakthrough that's going to make people question how you went from struggling to thriving in what looks like overnight. They saw the influence you're about to carry. The voices you're about to silence. The darkness you're about to expose just by walking into rooms and speaking truth. And they knew something you don't know yet. They knew that what's coming will require a version of you that doesn't fully exist yet. A stronger you, a wiser you, a more surrendered you. A you that's been stripped of every ounce of people-pleasing, every thread of fear, every whisper of doubt. So they waited. They're waiting for you to become who you need to be, to carry what they're preparing to release. Proverbs 25:2 says, "It is the glory of God to conceal a matter. To search out a matter is the glory of kings." Did you catch that? God conceals things, intentionally, strategically. Not to torment you, but to train you. Not to frustrate you, but to mature you. Not to keep you small, but to prepare you for something so big that premature revelation would be spiritual abortion. After hours of silence last night, after the archangels stood watch over your sleeping form, after they witnessed the spiritual warfare raging around you that you couldn't see, after they blocked attacks you'll never know were aimed at your head, a single word was written about you. One word, spoken in the throne room, declared over your destiny, stamped on your future like a divine signature that cannot be forged, cannot be stolen, cannot be erased. But I can't tell you what that word is. Not yet. Because here's what you need to understand, chosen one. The archangels are waiting for something to shift in you. They're waiting for the moment when you stop begging God to reveal the future and start trusting Him with the present. They're waiting for you to surrender the timeline, to release the need to know, to walk in faith even when the path ahead is wrapped in holy mystery. They're waiting for you to be ready, not perfect, ready. So let me ask you something that's going to cut straight through to your soul. Are you ready to stop demanding answers and start embracing the silence as sacred preparation? Because what happens next will determine whether that sealed envelope in heaven gets opened over your life or remains sealed for another season. Now, listen to me, chosen one. Before I tell you the word that was spoken over your life last night, the word that has the archangels standing at attention, I need you to understand something that might break your heart wide open. For how many years have you been praying the same prayer? How many decades have you been asking God to fix what's broken, to heal what's wounded, to return what was stolen? You've been faithful. You've been patient. You've believed when believing hurt more than doubting. But here's what you didn't know. Heaven wasn't ignoring those prayers. Heaven was preparing the answer. Because what you've been asking for is too small compared to what God has been planning. You've been praying for repair. God has been orchestrating something infinitely greater. You've been hoping for recovery. The Almighty has been blueprinting your complete transformation. Chosen one, the word that was spoken over you last night in the councils of heaven, the single prophetic term that every archangel heard echo through the throne room, the declaration that has both angels and demons reacting with shock because of its implications for your future. The word was restoration, not repair, not recovery, not making do with what's left. Restoration. And if you don't understand the depth of what that word means, you're about to discover why hell trembled when heaven spoke it over you. Let me take you to the book of Joel, chapter 2, verse 25. God declares, "I will restore to you the years that the locust hath eaten." But look closely at that word restore. In Hebrew, it's shalom, and it doesn't just mean to give back what was taken. It means to return it with interest, to make whole, to pay back sevenfold what was stolen. Do you understand what this means for your life? Every year you spent in depression, God's not just healing you, He's giving you joy that surpasses those years of darkness. Every decade you struggled financially. Heaven's not just providing for you, it's releasing abundance that makes up for every penny the enemy stole. Every relationship that was destroyed, the Father's not just mending connections, He's bringing you into covenant relationships that eclipse everything you lost. This is restoration. This is the sevenfold return that comes when God Himself decides to settle accounts with your adversary. But here's what's wrecking me as I speak to you right now. Some of you have been praying for so long that you've stopped believing restoration is even possible. You've looked at your health and said, "I'm just too old now." You've looked at your bank account and whispered, "I'll never get ahead." You've looked at your family and thought, "Some things are just too broken to be fixed." and the enemy has been sitting on your shoulder, agreeing with every word of doubt. "You're right," he whispers. "You've missed your window. Your time has passed. The best you can hope for is to survive until you die." That is a lie from the pit of hell, and it ends tonight. Job 42:10 tells us something that should make your spirit leap right now. After everything, Job lost his children, his wealth, his health, his reputation, the Bible says, and the Lord turned the captivity of Job when he prayed for his friends. Also, the Lord gave Job twice as much as he had before. Twice as much. Not just restoration to the original state, multiplication beyond what was. You think your season of loss was random? You think your years of struggle were meaningless? No, beloved. You've been in your job season, and what's about to be released over your life will make everyone who watched you suffer stand in stunned silence as they witness God's restoration power. But restoration doesn't come to the passive. It comes to those who partner with heaven's declaration. In Ezekiel 37, God showed the prophet a valley full of dry bones, dead, scattered, hopeless. And God asked, "Can these bones live?" Then he gave the command, "Prophesy upon these bones, and say unto them, O ye dry bones, hear the word of the Lord." The bones didn't restore themselves. The prophet had to speak, he had to decree, he had to align his voice with heaven's word. Your health that's been declining, that's your valley of dry bones. Your finances that have been dormant, those are your scattered remains. Your dreams that died, those are the things that look too far gone. But God is asking you right now, can these bones live? And the answer is not maybe. The answer is not hopefully. The answer is yes. When you align your mouth with what heaven declared over you last night, heaven has already begun returning pieces of you. Pieces of your identity that were stolen in childhood. Pieces of your dignity that were destroyed in that marriage. Pieces of your hope that were buried with your spouse. Pieces of your faith that were crushed by that church that rejected you. God is not just returning them. He's returning them restored, renewed, resurrected with power you've never experienced before. But this is your moment of decision. Will you speak what heaven has already spoken? Will you declare restoration over your body, your mind, your finances, your family, your future? Or will you sit in silence and watch another decade slip by, wondering if God still remembers you? Right now, this very second, I need you to do something that will activate what the Archangels witnessed last night. Type these 3 words in the comments. Restore me, Lord. That's not just a comment. That's your prophetic declaration. That's your agreement with heaven's word. That's your activating faith that moves the hand of God on your behalf. Because, chosen one, what happened last night in the heavenlies is waiting for your voice on earth to release it. The archangels are watching. The decree has been issued. The only question remaining is, will you speak it into existence? Now let me tell you something that's going to shake you to your core. Something the archangels witnessed last night that changed everything about your immediate future. There's a room in heaven. Not a metaphor, not a symbol, a literal chamber where timelines are written, where destinies are decreed, where God himself signs off on what happens next in the lives of his chosen ones. Most believers will never have their name called in that room. Most will live their entire lives without heaven opening their file. But last night, beloved, that room opened for you. The seals were broken, the scrolls were unrolled, and what was written about your next 90 days, your next 3 months, starting right now, it left the archangels speechless. They've seen miracles before. They've witnessed resurrections. But what's been authorized over your life? Even they weren't prepared for this. Listen carefully. The next 90 days will carry 3 waves. 3 distinct movements of God that will hit your life with such force, such precision, that by day 91 you won't recognize your own reflection. Not because you'll look different, but because you'll finally look like who you were always meant to be. Wave 1 is recovery. Within the first 30 days, you're going to feel something return that you thought was gone forever. Energy you haven't had in years. Strength that walked out of your body and left you wondering if you'd ever feel whole again. Stability, financial, emotional, physical stability that's been missing so long you forgot what solid ground feels like under your feet. Psalm 23:3 promises, He restores my soul. But you stopped believing that applied to you, didn't you? You thought restoration was for younger people. You thought your body was too broken, your bank account too empty, your situation too far gone. But heaven doesn't operate by your diagnosis. Heaven operates by divine decree. And the decree over you says recovery. Wave 2 is reversal. Between day 30 and day 60, watch what happens. That investment that went south in 2008, that relationship that ended in betrayal, that opportunity you missed that haunted you for decades. God specializes in reversals. Joel 2:25 declares, I will restore to you the years that the swarming locust has eaten, not some years, not most years, the years. Every single loss, every stolen moment, every closed door, they're about to swing back open with such force they'll knock you off your feet. What the enemy stole in secret, God is returning in public. What hell took slowly, heaven is replacing suddenly. But wave 3, oh beloved, wave 3 is where it gets dangerous to the kingdom of darkness. Wave 3 is reward. From day 60 to day 90, you're going to receive things you didn't earn, didn't apply for, didn't even ask for. Ephesians 3:20 says, God is able to do exceedingly abundantly above all that we ask or think. You've been asking small, thinking smaller, but God's been planning massive. Blessings that arrive without effort. Favor that makes no logical sense. Doors opening that you never knocked on. People calling you out of nowhere with opportunities you never pursued. The archangels are watching because they know what's coming in that final wave. They've seen the paperwork, they've read the decree. But here's what even they don't understand. Why are you still sitting there like nothing's changed? Why are you still talking like a victim when heaven just declared you a victor? Why are you still planning like you're on your own when armies of angels just got deployment orders with your address on them? The next 90 days aren't going to be like the last 90 years. But you have to step into what's been authorized. You have to move like someone who knows their file just got opened in heaven's war room. The question burning in the throne room right now is this: will you receive what's been released, or will you let doubt rob you one more time? Listen to me, chosen one. When heaven elevated you last night, hell didn't just notice, hell panicked. You need to understand something that will shake you to your core. The moment that decree was issued over your life, the moment your name was spoken in the throne room of the Almighty, every demonic force assigned to your destruction received an alert. A spiritual alarm screamed through the kingdom of darkness. And for the first time in years, maybe decades, the enemy realized he was losing his grip on you. Do you know what happened next? They tried to retaliate. While you were sleeping, unaware, wrapped in blankets that couldn't protect you from what was coming, forces of darkness mobilized. They approached your home. They circled your address like wolves around a campfire. They came with assignments: depression for your mourning, doubt for your prayers, defeat for your destiny. But here's what they didn't count on. The archangels were already in position. Picture this: Michael standing at your front door, sword drawn, blade burning with holy fire. Gabriel at your window, wings spread wide, blocking every whisper the enemy tried to plant in your mind while you dreamed. Raphael at your bedside, hand raised, intercepting every weapon formed against your health, your peace, your sanity. Psalm 91:11 declares, For he shall give his angels charge over thee, to keep thee in all thy ways. Not some of your ways, not when you're good enough, all your ways. Every demon that tried to cross that threshold last night was met with a wall of divine resistance they couldn't penetrate. Every curse sent toward your bloodline hit an invisible shield and shattered like glass against concrete. Every plot to steal your joy, your strength, your hope blocked, denied, destroyed. Your home was encircled, beloved. Your name was shielded. No harm could cross that boundary. But here's what's going to blow your mind. Here's what the enemy fears most and what heaven is about to reveal to you. That protection wasn't just defensive, it was transformative. Because while the angels were guarding you from attack, God was doing something inside you that hell cannot reverse. Your authority in the spiritual realm doubled last night. Let that sink in. Doubled, not increased a little, not grew slightly, doubled, like Elisha receiving the double portion of Elijah's anointing in 2 Kings 2-9. What you carried yesterday is now multiplied. What you spoke with hope yesterday, you now speak with power today. What you prayed with desperation yesterday, you now pray with authority today. The enemy knows this. That's why the attack seemed so intense lately. That's why it felt like everything was falling apart right before this moment. Because darkness always fights hardest right before dawn. Hell always screams loudest right before heaven speaks. But chosen one, the fight is over. The verdict is in. You won. Not because you were strong enough, but because heaven decided you were worth fighting for. Right now, I need you to do something. I need you to speak this out loud wherever you are, in your living room, your bedroom, your car. Speak it with your whole chest, with every ounce of faith you have left. Say it out loud. I walk in divine authority. Say it again. I walk in divine authority. Because the archangels didn't just defend you last night. They commissioned you. And what God commissions, hell cannot cancel. But there's something else you need to know. Something the angels saw that you still can't see. Something that happened in the heavenly realm while you were completely unaware. Beloved chosen one, as we come to the end of this sacred moment together, I need you to remember 3 eternal truths that will anchor your soul in the days ahead. First, what happened last night was real. The archangels were not distant observers. They were active defenders of your destiny. Your name was spoken in heaven's throne room, and that decree cannot be reversed by any force in hell. Second, your authority has doubled. You are not the same person who went to sleep last night. What you speak carries new weight. What you pray releases new power. What you believe activates new miracles. Third, the enemy's panic is proof of your promotion. His attacks weren't random, they were strategic attempts to stop what God has already set in motion. But here's what I need you to know with absolute certainty. You are not walking this path alone. The God who sent archangels to guard you in the night is still working in your life right now, in this very moment. He hasn't brought you this far to abandon you. Romans 8:31 reminds us, if God be for us, who can be against us? That's not just a verse, that's your reality. And beyond heaven's presence, you have this community. Right here, right now, thousands of believers who understand your struggle, who felt your pain, who are ready to stand with you in prayer. We're not just viewers on a screen, we're a family of chosen ones, marked by the same divine hand. So let me ask you this. Now that you know what happened last night, now that you understand the battle that was fought over your life while you slept, what will you do with this revelation? Before you go, let me pray over you. Close your eyes, place your hand on your heart, and receive this blessing. Almighty God, Father of glory, I lift up every precious soul hearing these words. You know their name, you know their struggle, you know the battles they've fought in secret. Lord, I thank you that last night wasn't just another night. It was a turning point, a divine intervention, a moment when heaven moved on their behalf. Father, I pray that you would seal this revelation in their spirit. Let them wake tomorrow knowing they are covered, protected, and empowered by your hand. Give them courage to walk in their doubled authority. Give them wisdom to recognize the enemy's lies. Give them strength to stand firm when doubt whispers. Surround them with your angels. Open doors no man can shut. Provide resources they haven't imagined. Heal what's been broken. Restore what's been stolen. And let them feel your presence so powerfully that fear has no place to land. In Jesus' mighty name, amen. Now, I want to hear from you. Comment below and tell us what God revealed to your heart today. Ask for prayer. This community will surround you. Share your testimony. Someone needs to hear your story. And please, Share this message with someone who's been feeling forgotten, who needs to know that heaven is still fighting for them. Thank you for staying with me through this entire journey. If you haven't subscribed, hit that button now and join this family of chosen ones. Your greatest chapter is just beginning. Until we meet again, walk in your authority. You are marked, you are covered, you are never alone. God bless you mightily, beloved. Go in peace.